Welcome to your Anytime Stretch and Release. Today I have a series of stretches for you that'll stretch you all the way from your toes out through the crown of your head. You can use this series anytime. You just need to feel a little more relaxed any time of day. So for today's practice, option to have a couple of blocks with you to help deepen into some of the stretches. And then of course, you're welcome to have a strap if you like that for your stretches. So we'll get started in an extended child's pose, and option to use your blocks. I'll show you here. Bring your big toes to touch. Settle your heels down behind you. Walk your fingertips forward, and you can either lose the blocks, extend your hands forward, and then just drop your chin and your chest towards the mat. Or to open up a little more through your triceps and through your chest, I like to bring the blocks about shoulder width distance apart. Bring my elbows onto the blocks and then take a little reverse prayer behind your back. Press your elbows firmly into the blocks as you drop your chest low. And just stay here for a couple of rounds of breath. Breathing in. And then as you exhale, sink your hips down further towards your heels. Feel your hips open up. If you're on the blocks, you can begin to feel the underbelly of the arms lengthen. Couple more rounds of breath here, just centering your mind and your body into the present moment. Taking a little time out to stretch your body. Take your mind away from your day, whatever you have going on. One more big round of breath in. And then exhale, let it go. If you have your blocks, release them to the side. We'll use them a little later. And come up to your tabletop position. Stacking shoulders directly over your wrist, your hips over your heels. We'll take a few cat-cows here. Inhale, cow pose, release the belly, lift your gaze. Exhale, cat pose. Press down through your palms. Gaze back behind you as you lift your back ribs. Take 2 more rounds. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. And of course, adding in any organic movement, maybe a swing of your hips, a swing of your neck from side to side as you press through your cat-cow. Then come back to your neutral tabletop. Extend your left foot out to the left side of your space, in line with your hip bone, sole of your foot onto the floor. Take a couple of cat-cows here. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Exhale, cat. Feels a little bit different with the leg out in this kickstand position. Really feel the hip rotators rotating in and out as you work through your cat-cow. And then on this last one, come back to a neutral spine. Plant your right hand in the middle of your space. Lift your left hand to the ceiling. And then exhale, thread it through to the opposite side. Try and keep your hips in line with your extended leg. Big twist through the spine. Press back just slightly through the hips to get a little more length and stretch through your left inner thigh. And then bring your palms back to center. Bring your leg back into your tabletop position and switch it out. Right leg over to the right side of your space, sole of your foot onto the mat, and then take your cat-cows from here. In and out. Lift your gaze, flex your hips back. Exhale, tuck it under. One more time through. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Come back to your neutral spine. This time, plant the left hand closer to the center. Inhale, lift the right hand high. Exhale, thread it through. Opposite side, come down onto your cheekbone, your temple, whatever feels good. And again, if this is too much, you can also opt to bring the block just under the side of your head. Missed that on the first round. Reach your fingertips through. And then press your hips back slightly. Feel the stretch in your inner thigh and your groin. And then back to center. And then from here, we'll take a stretch for your feet. I told you we were going to work all the way from our feet to the top of our head. So we'll take a little intense toe stretch. So from your tabletop, tuck your toes, bring your knees together, and then just come stacking your hips on top of your heels, shoulders on top of the hips, and just lean back just a little bit. Squeeze your ankles together. Feel the intense stretch in your toes. See if you can stay here for a full round of breath. Pretty intense if you're not used to working the toes in this way. Take an inhale. Exhale, let it go. Then bring your palms forward. Release your toes. Nice to have a little relief. For this next stretch, we'll be working the top of the foot. So option to bring your block with you. From here, squeeze your knees together, squeeze the toes together, and then take your left hand, rather your right knee, and a basket grip, and just lift your knee up off the mat, pulling it back. See if you can lean your shoulders back just a little bit, lift your chest, and then lower it down. I feel that all up through my ankle. Switch sides, take the basket grip around the left knee, lift it up, pull it in towards the midline. And maybe you lift your gaze. And then drop the foot back down. Just take a minute, kick your feet out, and then we'll use the block. Bring the block, scoot it under your knees, squeeze the ankles together, and just like the intense toe stretch, see if you can hold it here. And take a full round of breath in. And then let it go. Try and relax. Feel the stretch through the top of the foot, the top of the ankle, maybe up into your shin. Then release your block. You can also do this on your own. Bring your fingertips back by your sides. If you want to take it a little deeper, see how high you can lift your knees up off the mat, but keeping the ankles squeezed into the center. And then bring it back to center. So that's our stretch for our feet. They should feel really good. Come to this little teeter-totter type of motion. Let the blood flow back into your ankles, into your toes, into your feet. And then come up to a Sukhasana position, an easy seat. Cross your right leg over your left. If you're extra flexible through the hips, option to take a half lotus or even a fire log, stacking one shin over the other. So either option for the stretch. I'll take it in Sukhasana since I'm a little tight. Hands on top of your knees. Roll your shoulder blades down your back. Take an inhale and then slowly walk your fingertips forward. As you walk your fingertips forward, press into your finger pads to press your hip bones down. Relax the crown of your head. Maybe it touches the floor. Maybe it doesn't. Keep breathing with it. Then slowly walk your fingertips over to the right. Paying close attention to keeping your left armpit pressing towards the floor. When you do that, apply that pressure downward. You can feel the stretch all the way from your glute up through the side of your left side. And then walk your fingertips over. This time sweep the left arm overhead. Take a side body stretch. Bend into the right elbow as much as you need to find the stretch. And then inhale, rise all the way up. Switch your legs out. If you have one of those other options, bring the left leg on top of the right or take your half lotus. This time, take an inhale and then walk your fingertips forward. Use a little core strength to get there. Drop the crown of your head low. Press into your finger pads. Maybe you bend your elbows. Then walk your fingertips over to the left side of your space. Use your right finger pads to push your right hip down. Find your breath. Then slowly walk your hands all the way over. Sweep your right arm up and over. Bend into your left elbow. Find that side body stretch all the way from the crest of your right hip up through your armpit into your neck. And then come up to center. Sweep your arms back behind you. Take the basket grip and then punch your knuckles towards the floor, but press your palms together. Keep a micro bend in your elbows. Gaze high. And then lightly draw your gaze down to the right corner of your space. Stretch the left side of your neck. Keep your palms pressed at the base of your spine. And then draw your gaze up and over to the left side of your space. See if you can pull your left ear down towards your left shoulder tip. Feeling the stretch from the base of your right ear all the way down your neck. And then come up to center. Shake it out. We'll start on the right side with Janu Shirshasana. Bring the sole of your left foot to your right inseam. Square up your hips so your navel is in line with your right leg. Option to have the block for this stretch. If you're very flexible, you can have it to give you a little extra extension for reaching forward. Or option 2, bend the knee. So you'll see here that I'm still working on my flexibility. Take an inhale, reach your arms high, and then exhale, fold your body forward. Start with a flat back. Draw your navel into your spine, and then work to pull your left armpit towards your knee to help keep you square. As you inhale, find a little length through your spine. You can almost feel each vertebra expanding as you lengthen. And then as you exhale, draw your navel in as you lower your body. Option 2, reach for the block. Get a little more extension if you need a little extra length. Find your flexibility. One more full round of breath here. Try and stay in these stretches at least 30 seconds to get the full benefit, or even longer if you have the time. And then remove your block. As you lift up, step your left leg up and over. We'll take an easy twist. Ground down through your sits bones, left hand towards your glute. Inhale, lift your arm. And then exhale, hook your elbow to the outside of your left knee. Use the lift from your back fingertips to create a lift through your spine as you gaze over your left shoulder. Lift up from your navel. Find that spiral through the chest. One more inhale. Exhale, twist a little deeper. And then as you release, this time, sweep your left leg back behind you into your pigeon pose. Bend through the right leg. Come up onto your hands. Find a leveling out through your hips. Gaze over your left shoulder. Make sure your back toes pointing straight back behind you. And then from here, as you square your hips, take an inhale. Exhale, sleeping pigeon. Walk your fingertips forward. Option to use the block. Rest your forehead on the block. You can rest your forearms on the block, or option to come all the way down. Wherever you are, make a forehead connection of some kind. And then if you have a lot of tightness through the hips and hamstrings like I do, might be a little uncomfortable to start. As long as there's no pain, just use your breath. As you find the inhales, get long in both directions. And then as you exhale, press your left hip bone slightly down towards your right heel. With each inhale and exhale, you can begin to feel your body relax into the stretch, regardless of how deep you go. Each of us has those sticking points that we need to move past. And then slowly walk up. We'll take a little twist in our half pigeon pose. From here, come down to your right elbow. See if you can work it into the arch of your foot. I'm not quite there yet, but come to resting on your elbow. Use that as a kickstand to open up through the chest, and then bring your palms together to a prayer, pulling your thumbs to your heart center. Pull your shoulder blades down your back and then gaze towards the ceiling. Get a little extra twist in your pigeon pose. You can really feel it opening up into the right hip rotator. And then come back through center. Lift up one more time. And then rock it out. And that sets us up perfectly on the other side for our Janu Shirshasana. The right sole of your foot presses into your left inseam. Option to take the block with you to put it at the sole of your foot. From here, take an inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, hinge your body forward. Draw your navel in, pull your low ribs in, and then pull your right armpit down towards your left knee. Try and keep the back as flat and extended as possible. Maybe you put a little micro bend into your knee to get a little more depth, to keep the long, straight spine. Or option to reach for the block. Give yourself a little more extension, but try to keep that banana shape out of your back. I know I'm working to avoid that, to try and keep the flat back. It can be challenging when your hamstrings are tight, but the more you do this over time and with consistency, you'll find that you'll improve. One more full round of breath in, and then let it go. Remove your block. Step your right leg up and over your left. Keep your toes flexed. That way your legs will stay engaged. Pull your right knee into your chest. Inhale, lift the left arm high. And then exhale. Easy side twist. Press into your right finger pads to lift your chest. Look back a little more as you pull your shoulder blades down. And then swing it back behind you for that half pigeon. You'll be at the back of your mat this time. Set yourself up. Try and parallel your shin to the front edge of your mat. If you can't get it parallel, option to point your toes, tuck your knee in just slightly. Find whatever pigeon pose works for you. Gaze back behind your right shoulder. Point your toes. Inhale, lift your chest, and then exhale, crawl it forward. Find your block as your resting spot, or maybe you rest onto the palms of your hands. I'm a little tighter on this side. With each inhale, find length, point through your right toes. As you exhale, press your right hip bone down. Try and make the conscious effort to release the hips. A lot of times we grip and hold our tension in the hips. And it's so unconscious, we don't realize that we do it. So we have to make a conscious effort to focus on freeing the tension from the hips. And then slowly walk yourselves up. We'll take the twist on this side. Slowly walk your fingertips over to the right. Bring your elbow down onto the mat. If you can get it into the arch of your foot, that's really terrific. I'm not quite there. Bring your elbow in line with your toes. Find your prayer grip and then press into your palms to spin your heart up to meet your thumbs. Pull your shoulder blades down your back. Breathe with it. Don't hold your breath here. Find the twist. Beautiful. Release your hands back behind you. Come back to center and then briefly make your way back to the top of your mat. Come back to a downward facing dog just to stretch it out. Get the blood rushing back into the hips. Maybe bend the knees, gaze forward, and then press your heels down. Don't worry, we're not going to do any yoga moves, any yoga asanas today. And then come down to your knees. Hinge forward, come down to your chin. Booty up in the air, squeeze your elbows together, press your chest into your mat. And then inhale. Come on to your belly. Stack your elbows under your shoulders for your Sphinx pose. Arms are like a number 11. Your neck is long. Feet are hip-width distance apart, so toes in line directly with your hip points. You can stay here. For some, this is enough on the back. Or option to press into your palms. Take a seal pose. Maybe you extend your arms halfway, or maybe you can get them fully extended without locking out, long through the crown of your head. Take another inhale. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Option to take that again. Otherwise, we'll try a cobra pose, supported. Come all the way down onto your belly. Pull your palms back to your low ribs. So a lot of times we want to start here, but I think it's helpful to build the muscles in the back line of your body to start at your low ribs. Squeeze your knees together. Pull your elbows together behind your back. Take an inhale and lift your chest for your cobra pose. Take it supported. Light pressure into the palms of your hands as you're building your strength. Stay here for 3. Calm yourself with your breath for 2. And 1. Slowly lower down. We'll take that one more time. Option to float your fingertips this time. Take a breath in. Pull your palms to your low ribs. Squeeze your elbows in. Exhale it out. And then inhale. Lift it up. Maybe this time you float your fingertips for 3, 2, and 1. Take it all the way down. Press back to your child's pose. And then come all the way up. I'll face you for this. Come to hands and knees. We'll take that kickstand out to the side as we did in the beginning of class. So from your little kickstand out to the side, walk your toes as far out to the edge of your mat as you can. So you're in this funny little frog pose. Walk your hands forward onto your forearms, and then sit your hips back just slightly until you find your edge, that point where you feel you've met your limit in terms of your stretch. If you feel any pain, back off of it. And then maybe with each breath, you can walk your toes a little further and sit your hips back a little more, opening up through the groin. This is a great stretch for the inner thighs, for the groin. Keep breathing. Would be wonderful if we could all do splits in this position, for sure. Then walk your hands back up and we'll switch it out. Bring your left leg out to the side like a kickstand, and then walk your toes or scoot your toes out towards the end of your space. Keep your toes tracking forward versus the knee and the hip cranking open. Walk your hands forward and then settle your hips back. It's almost like a wide one-legged child's pose. Let the heaviness in your hips sink your body towards the floor. And then one more round of breath, sink back. And then walk your hands up. This time, as you pull your left knee in, find some width. We'll take a frog pose. Flex through your toes. And a lot of times you may stay lifted because this is pretty intense for some people. Grab your block if you need it. Place it in front of you. Option 2, rest your forearms onto your block. We'll stay here in this frog pose, or can lose your block altogether. See if you can walk your fingertips forward. Maybe rest your forehead on your mat. And once you're in this position, play around with hinging your body slightly forward. That will allow you to open your knees a little wider. And then settling in, give yourself time as you try these different options And then maybe on the next round of breath, you sink your hips back a little more. Feel the hip rotators opening up a little more. Play around with it. Find what works for you. But just find a few rounds of breath here. And you're welcome to stay in that frog pose a little longer. Otherwise, crawl yourself up, walk your knees into center, cross your legs, and just extend your legs long out in front of you. Option to bring the block with you, just as we did with the one-legged version. Option to keep it to give you a little extra extension. Flex through your toes, little micro bend in your knees to start. Inhale, lengthen your arms overhead, find a long straight spine, and then exhale, fold it forward, Paschimottanasana. Pull your navel into your spine. Again, you want to find that long, flat back. A lot of times we want to be so eager to touch our foreheads to our knees that we sacrifice the form and the integrity of the posture. You're not really getting the benefit of the stretch that you would with a flat back. And from here, you can begin to scoot your heels further forward as long as you can keep a flat back. And if you have a lot of flexibility, you can use the block to give you a little extra length to pull your belly towards your thighs. One more full round of breath here in your forward fold. And then let it go. Release your block or release your toes. Pull the soles of your feet together using your inner thigh strength. Take your forearms, slide them underneath. You may need to lift your ankles up. And then pull your biceps, flex your biceps to pull the crown of your head towards your toes. I love this stretch. You can feel it not only in the opening of the groin, but I feel it more so all the way from my tailbone up through my middle back. Tuck your chin to your chest. Find your breath. And then rise all the way up and come to lying on your back, and we'll finish out. From lying on your back, send your legs up the wall. Cross your right leg over your left. Take an eagle wrap. And then slowly drop your legs to the right side of your space. Cactus out your arms. This way you can find a little extra stretch across the chest, across the collarbones. It will also help anchor your shoulder blades to the mat. With this type of supine twist, you get a little extra stretch up through the hip, almost into your QL muscle, that muscle that attaches from the crest of your hip up to your lowest rib. Just let your knees hang heavy. They probably won't touch the floor. And then as you come up, bring your left foot over your right knee, right heel outside of your mat, and then twist it in the opposite direction, using the pressure from your left heel to push your right knee down. Little bitty counter stretch, not quite as intense as the eagle wrap, but we'll switch it out and do the other side. Then bring it back up to center. Legs go up the wall again. Cross the left leg over the right. Maybe you wrap once, maybe twice. And then drop your legs over to the left side of your space. You may have to scoot your hips to the center of your mat. You want to stack your top hip on top of your bottom hip as best you can. It's a little harder in this eagle wrap. Send your gaze over to the right as your knees pull you over to the left. Option 2, give it a little assist if you need it, or loosen up the wrap if it's preventing you from really feeling the depth of the stretch. And then bring it into center, unwind. Bring your left foot to the outside of your mat, right foot on the side of the left knee. Let your right leg pull your left knee down towards the mat. So today we've worked all the way from our toes to the top of our head. We've done some twisting. We've done some stretching for the hamstrings, for the hips. Pretty nice way to open up the body. And draw your knees back to center. Draw your knees in. We'll take happy baby. Pull your elbows down to your side ribs. Flex your feet, soles of the feet towards the ceiling. Reach for the sides of your foot. If that's not quite there for you, option to reach for the underbelly of your legs to help pull your knees to your side ribs. If you have the sides of your feet, snuggle your elbows in and then light pressure from your elbows to help you open up a little more through the hips. Rock a little from side to side, like a happy baby. Stretching is not my favorite thing, but I always feel so good and loose afterwards. So make time for it, even if it's something you normally don't prefer. It's really helpful for your body, especially as you age. Then draw your knees into center. Finish out either in a final Shavasana or option to bring the soles of your feet to touch and let your knees fall open. I like to stay here with a cactusing of the arms. Helps to open up through the shoulders, but wherever you feel comfortable, find a final resting spot. Allow yourself at least 2 minutes to find some stillness in your body and in your mind. If you have more time, it's a wonderful place to find some meditation. But I will leave you here, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this Anytime Stretch and Release. I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.